Welcome to our webinar this taking the time off. I know you all are very busy. There's so many webinars out there, so many forums going on, and I'm really glad that you chose to be here. So I'm just going to ask you a question. How have you innovated during this pandemic? Let's have some fun with this. Okay, Mandy, maybe you want to explain to them how they can answer this?
Thank you, Sheila. Okay, so to answer Sheila's questions, please use the question box and type in your answers.
So how have you innovated during this pandemic? Let's see what interesting answers we have. Any answers yet, Mandy?
Yes, yes, we do. We have learned to use technology a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And we also have, finding new ways to connect with people via social media.
Great.
Yeah. We also have, I realized how important is internet.
Okay. Okay.
I have been a creative cook, been very creative in cooking.
Yeah, that's good to see what's in the fridge and put it all together in a pot. Yep. A lot of us have been trying to do that. There was a previous participant. He said, I learned to cook. I said, oh, wow, what dishes have you cooked? He said, I learned to cook Maggi mee. And we all cheered him on because probably before that, he'd never gone into the kitchen to do anything. Well, are we having any more answers, or should we move on?
Yeah. Okay. That's the next one. Learn to pivot business. I think we can ask this person then.
Yeah, maybe I should have you in one of my future webinars. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, let me move on by asking you a question of why innovate. Now, people mistake creativity and innovation as the same. Creativity is needed to innovate. Creativity is when you come up with creative ideas, art, do things in a new way. Innovation and applied to the business context is when you actually change the game, right? You change your business model, you come up with something that's really going to make a difference to your profit margin, to the way people see your business. So why should you innovate? Because you need to evolve and to remain relevant now more than at any other time. So I'll give you an example, the restaurant business, right? Restaurants were closed. Okay, now they're allowed to open with social distancing, but before this, they were all asked to close. So those people who couldn't innovate, they died. For 3 months, no business coming in. They have to pay rentals and so on. Many restaurants closed. But if they could innovate, how to change their business model? Start catering and delivering food. Those that did that were able to remain relevant to the market, because what does the market need now? Market needs you to send food to their house because they cannot come out to eat, right? And then, of course, to test new ways of doing things. Now, you might think, hey, right now we need to survive. We've got no time to go and use people to test and do new things and all that. But this is exactly the time where you need to be doing things in a new way, because the old way is not working for you. Because if your business has been very people-centric, dependent on people walking into your premises, dependent on face-to-face and all that, it's not going to work now. I was talking to another group of people last week in a webinar, and a real estate agency head was saying, people, we can't go in and show houses. Well, now we can to a certain extent, but again, social distancing. So what are we doing? We're learning to do virtual tours of houses, send to people, interact with them, and so on. So you also, by innovating, you gain an edge in penetrating new markets. Okay, new markets that were never your customers before. I have a friend. She's in the jewelry business. She has a boutique in Bangsa Shopping Center, which was closed down during MCO. Now they're open, but there's been no business for 2-3 months. She's also under renovation, reinventing that business. And so, so what she did, okay, she sold her jewelry online. Then when the jewelry is finished, she was like, what do I do? She went into the food business. She can't cook. So you would say, if I can't cook, how to go into the food business? Can. She set up a platform. She got all her single mother friends who could cook, who needed an income, and he said, okay, what are your specialty dishes? You do this, you do this. All she does is takes the orders, organizes for the food to be sent. So she gets an income, they get an income. And I thought that's absolutely fantastic. That's innovation. You're moving to an entirely new business model. Will it last after the pandemic when life goes back to usual? If ever life goes back to usual, I don't know. Maybe. Okay. So again, new business. So you can become the game changer in your business. And of course, you need to innovate for business growth in the long term. If you're doing the same old thing, whether got pandemic or no pandemic, same old thing, there are other people who are going to come in to do things. Remember, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Now, why do people fail to innovate? Why do companies, businesses fail to innovate? First of all, there's a lot of hierarchy in the organization. Whether it is big corporations, public listed, government GLCs, a lot of hierarchical structures because people have to answer to a board and all that. So everyone is, sort of very conscious of their role and needs to retain the control. But then also you have the family businesses, small, medium enterprises. They started like 50, 60 years ago, run by the father, and then the son and all that take over. So again, there's a lot of hierarchy, right? Then you have rigid paradigms. One way of looking at things, do something. Because before MCO, when you tell people, hey, we can all work from home. No, cannot. Must come to office and work. No such thing as working from home. We all don't operate that way. We've been doing this for 50 years. Now what are they doing? Because they had to, they innovated. Okay, and then there are people who want to do the traditional way of doing things. We are Asian company, we started like this is the premise upon which we build our business. So must follow. If we change, then we die. Not true. If you don't change, you die. Sorry to say, if you don't change in this current environment, you're not going to last. Okay, so there are the people who are out of touch with market needs. They don't know what's happening out there. I'm doing business this way. As long as people come into my business, my shop, my office, want to do business, then I don't really know what the rest of the market needs. All right. Next thing is they're risk averse. Don't want to try new things, put money there. If don't work, then we lose money and so on. All right. And they are entrenched in their present success. I'm so successful now in what I'm doing. Why should I go and try new things? This works for me. And they say no need to reinvent the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. True. But you must also be looking towards the future, because let me tell you, doing business today is different from 10 years ago, different from 20 years ago. Doing business next year is going to be very different from doing business last year, because we have the advent of digital platforms for everything. Okay, so if you don't get with it, then you're going to be left out. And then, of course, there's a lack of innovation culture and techniques. People don't know how. There is no approach. There is no sort of a culture, as in people are not taught how to innovate. If people are not taught how to innovate, then it's going to be a long-term struggle to get there. Okay, right. Now, these are some definitions of innovation. You have two types of innovation I'll talk about today. Yeah. So you have the sustaining innovation. This is where you do modifications and improvements on your existing products and services. What are you selling now? What is the service you have now? Okay, I give you an example. You know all those farmers in Cameron Highlands, right? Usually what they do, they package all their vegetables and fruits. Then the middleman comes, picks it up, transports it to the supermarkets and so on. Now, during the lockdown, there was a restriction on travel. So these middlemen couldn't transport. So lots of vegetables were left sitting down there, and fruits in Cameron Highlands rotting. We need it. They want to send it, but no one to bring it. So what did they do? A few of them got together. Must be some young people there. Say, hey, why don't you create your own platform and then sell? Use WhatsApp and all that. Sell and Facebook. All send a message out. Ask them to order. You deliver direct. And what happened? There's an innovation. It was sustaining innovation. They needed to continue business. They cut out the middleman and they did business. Okay. Then you have disruptive innovations. This is an innovation that creates a new market and value network and eventually disrupts an existing market and value network, displacing established market-leading firms, products, and alliances. I'll give you an example. In the medical services business, many years ago, when you needed to do an ECG, you had to go to a hospital, to a machine that cost like 20,000 US dollars, go in there, get the ECG done that way. But now what's happening is an innovation has come up, because what happened is in third world countries where you have small hospitals, clinics, they don't have space for the big ECG machine, cannot afford the big ECG machine. So what did General Electric did was they created a small portable battery operated machine that's lighter than a can of Coke for 500 US dollars. Okay, and then they were able to take it and use it in all the small clinics in India. And India, you know, a lot of the rural population, very poor, cannot pay for expensive scan. This scanner costs only 10 cents per scan. So what happened is, this is an example of a disruptive innovation. Why? Because it is also an example of a reverse innovation. You started this, creating this for the third world countries, small markets. But what happened after that? What happened after that? This became such a useful tool that the first world countries, advanced countries, started using it. Now you can carry an ECG machine anywhere and do an ECG for a patient. Okay, so this is an example of disruptive innovation. Another example which we know more better is Grab. Okay, Grab is it changed the ride-hailing business in Southeast Asia. Last time in Malaysia, all you have is taxis. And then Grab came on board and it disrupted the market. Now Grab's more popular than markets. Okay. All right. So where do you need to be? You need to be doing both. You need to be doing the innovation that's going to help you sustain, and you need to be doing innovation to see moving ahead after the pandemic, 1 year, 2 years from now, how are you going to maybe gain a larger market share and change the way, the way the market is seen, the movement and activities in the market. So I want to talk to you about 3 approaches to innovation. Yeah. First is to innovate for the present. You need to innovate for now. Many of you said, oh, learn to use digital platforms and all that, right? So basically, that is something that is necessary right now. And the next thing is to innovate within the closed world. What does a closed world mean? I'll explain to you shortly. And the third thing is to innovate for the future. Okay, now, this is what an example of how you innovate for the present. Okay, we need to start finding out what our customers need and what are the needs, not just from our customers, for non-customers. If people are not using your product and services, you got to ask them why. What's the reason they are not coming to buy from you? There also you can get a lot of valuable information. Another thing is, you need to find out from special needs people. Okay, sometimes if you are in a business premises, you're operating out of there, you notice that certain type of people don't come, older people don't come, children don't come, disabled people don't come. You've got to ask yourself why. And then you also need to look at the niche users. All right, so you also need to look at the niche users, people who are sometimes use, sometimes don't use, and people who again have special needs. All right, so it's a very good time now, because you are working from home and you have a lot of staff who maybe have a bit more time. They're not in the office, they can't do operations. So you need to go and talk to these staff about finding out from customers about how you can get information from them. What are some of the pain points customers experience when using your product or service? Pain points means the problems, the irritating things, the lack, what causes people basically pain, all right? And then you need to ask yourself, what opportunity can arise from these pain points? When people tell you pain points, you mustn't get sensitive. All right, you need to take them and say, oh, okay, there's an opportunity for me to do things differently to fulfill their expectations. All right, then you can form teams to brainstorm. Now, remember when you're brainstorming, every idea is a good idea. It fits into a need. It might not be the need that you have in your mind, but again, it's a point of view. When you stop people and say, yeah, that idea cannot use, no, it's not feasible, then people stop giving ideas. So you must have a platform in your company, your organization, your NGO, whatever it is, okay, to brainstorm. Now, if you're working alone, you don't have colleagues and all that, right? How to brainstorm? Then you just get people to come on board, friends, relatives, have a Zoom or a webinar or whatever, and say, hey, these are some pain points people have told me. Maybe you have to do the research yourself. Or what I would do is get, say, 5 friends, 5 people who use your product, or people who are well versed with what you do, and ask them to send out the questions to the customers. Yeah. So brainstorm, then you prioritize the ideas. You prioritize the ideas as in according to which is most feasible, okay, and which one is the most attractive to the market. Which one you think will jalan very fast, okay? And then you prototype, you come up with a prototype solution, and then you test the solution. Okay, now, so this is a format, this is a process called design thinking, meaning you are designing your thinking process to innovate. Empathy is basically just asking customers what they need from you, what they want to see, how they want you to operate differently to make things more convenient and attractive for them. Then from there, you come up with the opportunities again to go through this process. It's a very structured process. And yes, there is an approach, there are workshops that we conduct to teach you how to ask the questions, teach you how to come up with the opportunity, teach you how to brainstorm, okay, and then create a prototype, and then to go and do it as a test out there in the market, all right, evaluate the cost and so on. Now, I mentioned earlier, okay, again, so you can do this process during lockdown, okay? Now, if you look at, I mentioned earlier, a closed world concept. What is a closed world concept? Okay, so if within the world of your environment, within the resources of your organization, the space constraint, the budgeting and all that, these are resources you have. Okay? Outside are resources you don't have. That's outside your world, meaning that you might have to go, get a bank loan, go and ask your board to approve this. You might go and maybe get in extra staff to do. Those are resources you don't have right now. And right now, with the way business is going, you cannot afford to go and channel finances and resources over there. So the closed world concept is working within the world that you have. Okay, so it is innovating with what you have. Now, this is where the dimensions of innovation, 4 dimensions are very important. One is the originality of your ideas. You want to innovate, don't go and create things that are already there in the market. That one not innovation. That one is copying. Yeah. So for example, if you have people already have got a certain type of smart electric toothbrush, you don't go and do that one, because you're just what you call tumpang other people's innovation and branding. Yeah. Okay. Next thing is the idea has to be simple. It's very complicated, take a long time to take to market and all that. You don't have the luxury of that now. Okay. It's got to be cost effective, and it's got to be very creative. Like what my friend did. Original idea is now you have food delivery coming out of kitchens, and then Grab is delivering. What she did is get people who are at home, get them to create interesting food. The food they create also very original, not the standard run of the mill stuff that you get here and there. Okay, it has to be simple, cost effective, and of course needs to be creative. It needs to, when people hear, like, oh wow, that's a great idea, all right. Now, how do you use closed world? How do you innovate within a closed world? Okay, this is where you use systematic inventive thinking. What is systematic inventive thinking? There are 5 ways, methodologies in systematic inventive thinking, but we're only talking about 5. Now, I know you hear this, you think like, wow, very canggih like that, very difficult, very, very complex, very, whatever, abstract. It is not. It's actually very simple. So the first step is to take something and subtract, remove an essential component. Now, I give you an example. If you look at Amazon, eBay, Lazada, they have done subtraction. How? They have removed the inventory. They don't have a warehouse where they buy the things and sell and keep it there waiting for people to buy. Unlike a store or a regular shop, they spend a lot of money on renting the premises, buying the goods, keeping it in their shop, and then if they don't sell, they lose money. So what does this e-platform they do? They put all the things that are available from suppliers on their platform, and then you buy. When you order, then only they bring it into their warehouse solely for the purpose of packaging it and sending it out. So they have done subtraction. They have removed an essential component. So you go back and you ask yourself, what can I do? So for me, for example, I'm in the training business. What do I remove from the training process? Simple. I remove the going to the classroom and doing the face-to-face training. I do it here. So basically, that whole process of going there, getting people set up it's all taken care of. So now I'm doing it in digitally. All right, you are over there and I'm over here. We really don't even have to sit face to face for you to listen to what I'm saying and for me to listen to your questions anymore. So this is what we call also disruption. Okay, the pandemic has disrupted the way we do business for the training business. So we have to look at new ways. Another thing is multiplication, where you duplicate a component but give the new one another function. Now, I'll give you an example. How many of you wear bifocal lenses? A lot of young people means you don't lah. Older people who cannot see, cannot read very well, cannot see far, they wear bifocal lenses, meaning their lenses, their glasses have got two lenses, one to see far, one to read. So that is multiplication. I multiplied the lenses in one frame. Okay, and then each one has a different function. If you multiply and give them both the same function, no point. Now, for example, if you have a lipstick, all right, you multiply both sides. One side is the color, one side is the gloss, both in one. So you're multiplying, but each one got different function. That's an example, and that's being created. And so it's just sitting down and thinking, what can I remove? What can I add and give a new function? And these are exercises to do this. Yeah, you can teach people this. We can learn how to do this. And then another method is division. You divide into components and rearrange them in time and space. So nowadays, there are many refrigerators where the freezer is at the bottom. What did they do? They divided it. The main fridge from the freezer, they took the freezer and put at the bottom. So rearrange it. Another example is tomato sauce. Last time, tomato sauce, the bottle, the opening is at the top. Unscrew the cap and then you turn and pour. Big inconvenience sometimes. Now, what have they done? They've taken the top, the opening, and moved it to the bottom. So you have the plastic bottles where you have the opening at the bottom, just open, squeeze, and you get a tomato sauce. That's division. Okay, and then you have task unification, where you take an existing component and give it additional tasks. Now, a great example of this is smartphones and Android. Once upon a time, a phone was a phone. Then you had iPod. All right, then you had tablet. You had different sort of devices with different functions. So what did Apple do? They took it and put it all together. So now your phone is a camera, your phone is a radio, your phone is can take videos, your phone can be used to make calls, internet, everything. So many things have been put into one thing. So these are all examples where using systematic inventive thinking. So in a program, like say a workshop like this, what we would do is teach you based on general things, practice with things that are out there to open up your creativity, and then see how you can do it with your own business. Yeah. Now, innovating for the future, we use what we call the 3-box framework. Now, this was designed by a professor of Harvard and the Tuck School of Business. His name is Professor Vijay Govindarajan. He's like one of the foremost experts on innovation. He came up with this 3-box framework. He said in running your business, you need to learn how to manage the present business, optimize your current business. So this is where your operations, making your operations more efficient, or hiring the best people for the job, doing your budgeting for your current business, all this comes into play there. The box 2, he said, is to forget the past. You know, earlier I talked about all those barriers to innovation, things like hierarchy, tradition, or this one carved in stone, we cannot change. If it is stopping you from innovating and moving forward, you need to let it go. You need to sit down and discuss this old way of doing things, this old process, this old system, all is not working. We need to let go of it. We need to move on. So we need to let go of the past, even the past successes, how we did it. If it's not relevant anymore, let it go. And then the third box, he says, is to create the future. This is where you invent a new business model. And what the professor said is that you need to, box one is where you compete for the present. Okay, right now, to remain relevant, you need to be doing all this, enhancing your present way of doing business. Box 2 and box 3 is needed to compete for future business. What is future business? How do you know? You need to anticipate, because if you don't anticipate and you don't see it coming, then you're not going to remain relevant. Now, I know that we look at the banking industry, there are some banks like very on the ball, very fast, giving loans to young people to do this business, to do that, taking the risk and all that. And we know some banks very traditional, same old way. Internet also, you want to get into internet banking also, their system is so lagging behind that you can't. So this is what I mean when you say that one you need to optimize, and then you also need to compete for future, because who's coming on board? All young people do everything through technology now. I tell you, the people who most love the way of doing work in this pandemic are the young people, the millennials and younger, yeah, because they're so clued in. I think many of you, if you're older people here, you all are learning how to handle digitalization from the millennials, okay? So what Professor Govindarajan said, that 40% to 60% of your resources need to be used in box 1, that means managing your present business. And in the long run, 25 to 35% needs to be to stretch your business, meaning that if you've got a product, find out how you can innovate the product to make it even better. That's what Apple and Samsung and all the Android phone manufacturers are doing, because that's why every year they have new models, and each model is better than the next one. And then they use that as a great advertising gimmick, so that every 1 year or 2 years, you feel, oh, I feel I'm missing out. The new phone got these features, old phone don't have. Actually, you don't really need it. I tell you, most people, especially people my age, we're probably only using 50% of our phone functions. Okay. And then, of course, he said 10 to 20% needs to be used for box 3 innovation. So what is creating the future? What innovations should you be developing? You need to look at what are currently unserved parts of the market. Which parts of the market are not being served? Not being served by you and not being served by your competitors. This is what you call like the blue ocean. Okay, instead of trying to compete for the same slice of the pie, you go and look for another slice of the pie where nobody is fighting over it. Okay, then to create new market segments, go and start saying, we're using this for this market segment. Okay, I'm selling this to these people who have high income. Can I do a simpler version to sell it to people of a younger age with maybe less disposable income? I don't price so much. I don't use, of course, those premium materials, but I use something that's similar. Because why? I sell it to them, they like it. As they get more money, they will also upgrade to my premium items. And of course, to start cross-selling and upselling to existing customers. Now is the time, yeah? So what you need to do is examine customers of the future. Who are your customers of the future? Ask yourself, in 5 to 10 years' time, who are the people who are going to be using your product, who will need your product, who might be open to your product? These are the people you need to start developing things for them. Then you got to look at technology that can actually open for you new areas, new markets, and so on, new opportunities. So of course, there's so many different types of technology now. I was talking to a very, very close business partner, and he's in the business of designing platforms. I said, what are the most popular platforms you're designing now? He said, well, very interesting, a lot of learning and development people are coming to us. Medical people are coming to us to open new platforms for connecting and customer servicing and reaching out to the market. The next thing you need to look is at non-traditional competitors. who are the competitors who are not traditionally playing into your market, who could be coming on board. Now, I was doing a webinar a few weeks ago, and then I just got to learn of this new product from Philip Morris. Philip Morris is a cigarette brand. Now, I'm not advocating that you all go and smoke here, but I'm just using it as an innovation. People have been saying that, oh, smoking is bad, got tar, got ash, and all this. Fair enough. Okay, so what they did is they come up with an electronic cigarette, which has blade technology, where you have sticks, you put it inside, there is no ash, there is no smoke, there is no tar. Only they have the nicotine. Okay, so I'm saying for all those people who feel they really need to smoke, this is a great alternative. And what they're doing is they are now, they have become non-traditional in the sense that their business model has pivoted. They're no longer dependent on cigarettes. So, and I think that's a good thing, because, it's not a really good thing to have so much of all those chemical components. Yeah. Now, then you need to look at new distribution channels. This is what the food business is doing now. This is what anybody and everybody has pivoted now. I know of someone, one of my colleagues, she started a home business because, again, training is down, interactive, going out and doing business face to face not happening. So she loves cooking. She's leveraged on that cooking. She loves baking, coming up with traditional cakes, and she's starting to put it out there. So by sending it, dropping it by Grab and so on. And you need to see what are the regulatory changes for your business. If Bank Negara is going to relax certain rules and regulations in terms of banking, those you might leverage on that. If they're going to introduce regulatory changes with health, how can you work your business around that? Okay, so finally, what I would like to say to you is to summarize everything I've talked about today. If you've been doing things the same old way with, tradition, processes that are slow, laborious, slowing down the way you do business and innovation, you need to get rid of that. You need to go back to the drawing board and say, what can I throw out that's not be of benefit to me now? And if there's hierarchy in your organization, everything also, to get to the head person to give ideas, you have so many levels, then you need to go back. CEOs and all that need to go back and rethink this. Then you need to set up a dedicated team to do box tree thinking. If you're a small organization, you might be that team. So set up people, get people from outside. Every time I want to innovate, I get people from different industries to come and give me ideas. And you'll be surprised because they see things differently, because we have the same paradigms all the time. So we see things the same way. Allow for bottom-up innovation, meaning that you need to let people at all levels. Don't think that the office boy is not as highly educated as a CEO, he doesn't have ideas. Or that the person who's going out there, the delivery person delivering your products, doesn't have ideas. They are at the ground level. They hear what customers say. They are a valuable source of input, actually. The next thing is you need to create hypotheses on the future of your industry. Now, what does this mean? This means you just predict. You just ask yourself, what if? The question is, what if people want this? What can I create for them? Or what if this pandemic comes back again next year like this, or something worse? How am I going to innovate and do business? We are doing this now because we have to. What I'm saying is that don't just innovate because there's a disruption in the world and you find, oh, don't be caught unawares. Okay, what you do is create hypotheses. If I were to do this, how would it work? Design and test high potential solutions. You don't thinking, designing, creating, innovating on the drawing board doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Don't need to bring in a consultant to do it. You follow a process, you yourself can innovate. Then you test yourself. You test the innovation. Is it going to be financially feasible? Do I have to use a lot of money and I'm going to gain little? Then of course no need lah. But doesn't mean you fail, It means that you are actually strengthening your innovation muscle. Then you're beginning to just innovate first. Then you do the market and financial feasibility. Okay. And finally, I tell you, this is the best time in our lives to come up with creating new things, because we are already practicing agility. We already had to innovate in so many ways. We've got out of that box. I know lah, I'm not creative, I'm not innovative, I don't know how to do. You do. You have to, whether you like it or not, get online, buy things online, go on study online, do work online. So you're already innovating. Now what you need to do is go back to your business, whatever you're selling, how you're selling it, and innovate that. Okay. Of course, there is a process for this, and yeah, look out ahead of time for some courses that Human Equation will be designing to do this. Again, when you innovate, you need to tell people how to do that. So we're also coming up with a storytelling program. Storytelling is not to tell fairy tales, but how do you tell your story and the story of your company and your product to set yourself apart? Because you're going to be blasted through the internet with lots of this. How do you stand up with so many Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn stories going on there? How do you do that? There is a technique and a way of doing it. All right, so thank you very much for your attention. We have some Facebook links over here that you can go to. We have a Human Equation Facebook page. I have Sheila Singam Facebook page, and I'm also on LinkedIn. And we're also on Instagram, yeah, Human Equations on Instagram. So please visit any of these channels. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to open the floor for Q&A and hand back to Mandy. Yeah. Mandy, over to you.
Hi, yes. Thank you, Sheila, for the interesting topic. So let me see. We have one very innovative question. I'll share it here. How can a leader in a company get their people to think of innovations while all of them thinking now is just survival?
That's a very good question. And this is where your leadership skill comes in. Yes, everybody is thinking of survival. People don't know when they are going to be let go, when they are told that they need to survive on half-day salary or go on no pay leave. In fact, many people are already having to go through that. So, what you need to do is to equip your people with some skills to be able to survive. Instead of just saying, okay, we got to let you go now. I'm sorry, we don't know what to do. If you already have an idea that people are going to need to be let go, then you need to have these conversations. Recently there was a publishing house with over 200 employees. They saw the signs coming. Print publishing is not doing very well. Everyone's going digital. They saw that. They published about 20 magazines. They saw the signs coming, but they never told the staff anything. And then on the 30th of April, they told their staff, okay, we're going to let you go at 1 month's salary. And it's not just about being out there with no money. It's about a feeling of betrayal. So if you already know that needs to happen in your company, you need to prepare your people. And maybe give people 2 or 3 sessions of how they can go out there and survive. What can they do? What kind of strengths do they have that they can capitalize? Can they do some food business, some catering? Can they do some, training online? Can they do some talks about their particular area of business? If they are IT people, can they then go set up some IT platforms? If they are writers, maybe they can go into providing digital content. Of course, they're never going to get the same money that they did before, like a fixed salary, but something is better than nothing. So as a leader, you need to be inspirational. You need to be like a counselor, a coach. You need to reassure people and say that, like, when times are better and we do decide to hire again, you guys are going to get the first go at it. But you don't do like Jeff Bezos, Amazon. He's got billions and billions and billions, but he's not paying his staff when they have to take medical. Okay, and he's asking the government to bail out Amazon. And there are leaders like that. If a leader, I'm not directing this to you who asked the question, but if there are leaders out there who run big corporations and they're earning millions and their net worth is billions, and then you're asking the government to bail out, you're letting go of your staff and all that, it just looks very, very bad. So being an inspirational leader is not just leading the company to a new direction. You need to be there for your people. Be open. Tell them to call you, talk to you at any time. They want to rant, they want to be angry, listen to them very calmly, because that is what a captain does. A captain steers the ship no matter how the passengers are scolding, fighting, no matter what the dangers are. Hope that answered your question.
All right, thank you, Sheila, for that answer. Now, next question. Is innovation an ongoing process? Will I get tired of being innovative?
For me, I would say personally, I would say it is an ongoing process. You need to be in, we are evolving from birth. We cannot come to a point in our life, in our career, or in our companies to say, okay, I'm done. I'm very successful now. I've learned everything. I know everything. I'm at the top of my game. And if you do that, then, when a disruptive innovation comes, you won't know what hit you. And I think for me, I'll tell you my personal experience, change and creativity and innovation is very addictive. And many of you might not believe it because today I'm talking about innovation. But long ago, 30 years ago, when I first started my career, I hated change. I hated change. Means like if I had to change my car, move house, change job, and all that, change role, I get very stressed out. Today, I tell you, nothing bothers me. MCO is happening there. I haven't gone out to do training for 3 months. I'm like, okay, fine. I've got some reserves. I'm looking at how to pivot now. I'm not thinking of the money that's not coming in, because what you focus on is what you get. If you say, oh, no money, no money, no money, cannot spend, and you're very tight-fisted, then at the end of the day, money is going to be very hard to come in as well, right? So you innovate how you can now. I'm not saying go out there and spend money on expensive meals and all that, but you need to eat. You need necessities. Maybe you want to go and switch to digital way of doing business. Maybe you need to invest in a better, a video cam and sound system. Like, go spend that money, because I think it's a Chinese proverb. I think it's a Chinese proverb. You want to make money, you must spend money. Yeah. If you hold on tight, your fist is closed. Money cannot go. Money cannot come in. So what I'm saying is, you won't get tired of innovation, because it's like when you innovate and you innovate successfully and it works, you go like, wow, your confidence level go, now I want to try. The human mind is created to want more and more. Okay. So when you are successful, you want to try more to get more successful. And each time you're successful, it's like a flower opening, and it just becomes more, and you become more and more innovative, more creative. Your right brain, left brain function begins to be stronger. I mean, creativity just comes in every area. And don't limit your creativity to just business and looking at numbers and financial. Do innovation however you can. If you see behind you in the screen, there is a painting which is red and blue and all that. I started painting. I started some classes before MCO, but during MCO I said, I want to paint, but how? I didn't let it stop me. I ordered products, and I find the process of painting, doing creative things, cooking, design, and all that, it actually makes your brain more innovative and creative. So I don't think you'll ever get tired. I hope not.
All right. Okay. That's it. That's all the questions we have. So once again, thank you all for spending time with us. So we have come to the end of our webinar session, and you should be having a survey that we look forward for your participation. Please kindly respond to it, and we hope to see you again in the next webinar organized by Human Equations. Right. So thank you, Sheila, once again for sharing your valuable ideas on innovation. See you all again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.